Raya and the Last Dragon. So due to the coronavirus pandemic, we haven't seen a non-Pixar Disney animated film for quite some time. In fact, the last one we saw was Frozen 2 back in 2019. Originally, Raya and the Last Dragon was due for release in November 2020. It was delayed and therefore pushed to March 2021, and therefore it had to be released exclusively for Disney Plus. Yes, I did pay the full fee for what Disney Plus were asking. You might be thinking, why would you do that? And I thought because I want to experience the cinema again, because it's pushing a year since, obviously, we were in this lockdown/COVID situation, and I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of get into that feeling of being in the cinema again, because as you may or may not know from my home cinema video, I normally watch films now in my home cinema, and I thought I wanted to kind of capture that feeling again, treat it as if I'm buying a ticket to watch it. Plus, I'll be among the few who've seen the film and whether I recommend it or not, hence why I'm doing this review. So let's crack on with the film anyway. So Raya and the Last Dragon is set in the mythical and imaginary world of Commandra, but destructive monsters known as the Drun have wiped the dragons out to save humanity. Centuries later, they have returned, and warrior princess Raya seeks to track down a legendary dragon to restore structure to the world and its people. So just from that description and on paper, Raya and the Last Dragon sounds pretty much like Disney's take on How to Train Your Dragon, and of course a slight twist on history because of the dinosaurs that were wiped out. Dragons were wiped out in this film and humanity took over. So there is a parallel between history and mythology that kind of come together through this film, and that's at least in terms of the context of the story. When you think about stories that involve dragons, it almost seems like there's always a broader scale in the story in terms of characters, and also there just seems a lot more of an adventure and an experience watching dragons in films. I mean, the kingdom itself is imaginary because it's actually structured like a dragon, where the names of certain places within the area are named after parts of a dragon's body, like Disney and every other animation company, and their introduction to various different characters beyond humans. You have other creatures, you have a lot of robots, all those things. There's a lot more detail that goes into the animation, and the details on not just the dragons themselves, on the people and the settings was absolutely exquisite. I'd probably go as far as to say it's probably the best looking Disney non-Pixar animated film that there probably ever has been. The attention to detail was just spot on, and that just enhanced the experience of it even more. It's almost like I'd probably give that 4 stars already for just the experience and awe-inspiring attention to detail, as I've already said, and it just goes to show how far we've gone in terms of technology and animation. So it's a massive credit to the filmmakers and of course to Disney as well. So the film does take some inspiration from Asian culture, particularly Southern Asia, and a lot of the actors in the film are of that descent. Kelly Marie Tran, who is best known for playing Rose in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, provides the voice of Raya. And what I liked about Raya was the fact that she wasn't this stereotypical damsel in distress female protagonist that we've seen in other Disney animated films over the years. A bit like Mulan in that respect, but I felt like she was closer to a character like Lara Croft. Just the settings of being in the jungle, and you know, she was swinging here, there and everywhere, and she was taking full charge of the situation. That doesn't happen very much in Disney animated films, and just the emotional strengths that she went through as well. And although there were a number of things that I did really like about the character of Raya, there were just some things that I just thought felt flat at times, and it wasn't necessarily the relationships with the characters, like how much drive she had and emotion, that it just kind of fell short, and it kind of ended in a way, without spoiling anything, where I was just a bit like, oh, okay. You kind of expected more, just fell short a little bit in terms of resolution. But other than that, I thought she was very, very good. Now, actress Awkwafina as Sisu, I really, really enjoyed. She was absolutely exceptional in the role. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. I would probably go as far as to say she really excelled into this character in a very similar way to how Robin Williams did as Genie and James Woods as Hades. There was just something about it that just really kind of worked, and it worked absolutely perfectly. You understood the wit, you understood the emotional drama, you understood the background of the character, because also when you think about dragons in popular culture and in films, a lot of people associate them as these fire-breathing creatures. But in this film, Sisu adds her own little unique touch, where she's got more of these enchanting powers within her, really, where she almost looks like a unicorn. And her physicality reminds me a little bit of Randall from Monsters Inc. When you have mythological creatures, you don't need to take them too seriously because, of course, they're mythical, they're not historical. Therefore, you can almost do whatever you want with them. And because, of course, it's for children and she's not an antagonist. Whereas I think a lot of dragons who are evil would breathe fire, but because she's not evil, therefore she probably wooden suit, being a fire-breathing dragon. So that's why I think it worked in terms of that, and developing that relationship and asserting that sense of power that she does have and her capabilities, while also giving us a bit of a personality. That's why I really enjoyed their relationship on screen. Now, Gemma Chan plays Namari, who is another female character that gives us another sense of strength and power and authority. Now, I'm not saying it's like a feminist film that involves all the women destroying all the men. What I'm saying is that it just shows what the female characters in Disney films can do, because as I've already mentioned, we've seen previous stereotypical damsel in distress representations of women in those kind of films, and it goes to show how far we've come, like animation really. More positive representations of gender, of sexual orientation, of race, of other cultural backgrounds and disability as well. It's a testament to how the characters are represented. But beyond that, Namari was a very complex character, I found. A lot more difficult to understand. When you have a Disney antagonist, they're very straightforward. They know what they want and they seek out everything they wish to pursue. But when you've got an antagonist that kind of is a bit umming and ahhing about it, I think it just kind of shows the depth of the character that its target audience will learn from, which of course are children. Now, Benedict Wong, who is probably best known as Wong in Doctor Strange and the Avengers films, delivers a performance as Tong in the film, and his character is a lot like a stereotypical representation of gentle giant, and you see this kind of portrayal in a lot of fantasy films. That character reminded me a little bit of the late Andre the Giant's performance in The Princess Bride from the 1980s, and that's what I think is really crucial about Disney animations in creating these fictional worlds, that even the names of the kingdoms and the realms, they're also characters as well. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the neighbourhoods, and especially in this one like Commandra, they have a history and a background with very unique ideas and powers as well that become crucial to the development of the characters and the story. So yes, I would still argue that a lot of the fictional worlds in a lot of Disney animated films that we've seen, including in Raya and the Last Dragon, that the actual settings are the characters as well. Even though there's no vocal performance from Commandra, I'm just making the point that it's important to acknowledge that the setting and the uniqueness of the powers and the ideologies and the structures of those settings play a big part in the characters and the narrative. So overall, Raya and the Last Dragon was actually really, really good. I do genuinely enjoy Disney animated films anyway, non-Pixar in this case. But the only part that disappointed me a little bit about the film was that it just fell short towards the end in the climax and the potential resolution. It just felt like it was a bit of a dead rubber. I felt because there was so much emotional drive to the Raya character and her relationship with Sisu, it just wasn't capitalised on enough. It was just a missed opportunity. It just felt short and I was just a bit like, oh, okay. But other than that, I thought it was very good and I would highly recommend it, even if you pay the £20 fee until June when it is free to stream for everybody. So for those who have seen it, what did you think of Raya and the Last Dragon? And for those who haven't seen it yet, are you looking forward to it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you did go on to enjoy this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, and have a notification bell tick for every single time I upload a video. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.